Just a few years ago, this guy's name was not in any recruiting database. In fact, he was not ranked in his state, he was a 0-star recruit, and he signed with a school so small there was a 0% chance he would ever go to the NFL. Instead of staying in his current situation though, he decided to risk his entire future and career and go to the California junior college football system. From there, he lived up to all the potential he had, proved everyone wrong, and eventually accepted an offer to play for a big-time Power 5 program. From there, in 2 years, he's become one of the best running backs in school history, and as of late, he is declared for the NFL draft, become a very intriguing option at the running back spot, and is someone who has an extremely inspiring story. In today's video, we're going to talk about this guy's entire story, how his career has gone so far, his future projection, and overall, my thoughts on him. But before we can get into today's video, nearly 80% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel, and we can do better than that as we are on the road to 100K, so quickly be sure to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button for the algorithm, and turn on post notifications so you never miss when I upload. Now, let's get started. So you're probably wondering who the subject of today's video is, and it is none other than Arizona State running back Rachaad White. He's a big-time NFL draft prospect for this upcoming spring, but before we can talk about that, we need to go back in time and hear his story. Rachaad White hails from Kansas City, Missouri, and grew up in a single-parent household. This was difficult for his mother. His mom would both drive a school bus and try to earn a degree at the same time. She ended up getting her undergrad from CMU and her master's degree from the University of Missouri. I'm a big Mizzou fan, so congrats to her on that. But it was pretty difficult. She said, quote, "It takes a village to raise a child." I wasn't alone in doing the raising, I would say, as I did have my village, but we had our moments where it was really difficult, and we hit hard spots, and there were also moments where things were pretty good. That's why at a young age, he became part of the Big Brother system. This is a mentorship program, and a guy by the name of John Waller would become his mentor. He felt like he could help Rachaad because they were both the youngest of 4 kids and had a passion for sports. Eventually, Rachaad and him would become extremely close, and Rachaad would become a big-time athlete at Center High School in Kansas City. Originally, it was not football though. In fact, it was basketball. Things were not always easy for him both on the field and off the field, as he actually had a gun pulled on him on 2 different occasions, both of which happened on a basketball court. This is scary for anyone to even think about, and he'd also be hit with another setback as a junior. He broke his collarbone, and that would sideline him for most of the year, and his odds of becoming a Division I football prospect were very low. He would bounce back though. He had over 2,000 all-purpose yards as a senior, but he was overlooked by every major college, including the worst Power 5 school in the country, which was just located over 300 miles away. This was Kansas. His high school coach said, quote, "Hey Kansas, you guys need to get on this kid. He's long, he's athletic, please register him and he will add weight." Kansas was not interested. But why? His high school coaches speculated that he was one of those guys that just did not have elite speed and did not pass the eye test. It was extremely unfortunate, and White had this to say, quote, "In high school, I was a good player, but I was never ranked in nothing like that. I never got recruited by Division I programs, and I got looked at, but nobody ever pulled the trigger." His only official offer came from a tiny school known as Nebraska Kearney. I hope I said that right, but this is a Division II school with just over 6,000 students, so his opportunity to play in the NFL was looking extremely bleak. He'd end up redshirting there, but he immediately knew it was not the right fit for him. After a lot of talk with his family and people calling him crazy, he eventually decided to make a major change in his journey and go across the country to California, where he'd eventually enroll in Mount San Antonio College, which is located out in California, as I previously said. His high school coach actually supported his decision to leave, but in the back of his mind, he always thought that he should have been a safety and that he should not have left a full ride opportunity for uncertainty out in California. Well, he would prove everyone wrong. He was definitely pretty good as he started out there, and people were attracted to his size as a running back, but not his speed. The coach there said, quote, "It was just the way that he ran. He has deceiving speed. It looks like he's moving slow because of his strides, but he covers ground." While there, White would eventually become a star, and his most iconic moment came during a game against Cerritos College. The team had a 20-point lead early in the 4th quarter, and they were definitely going to win that matchup, but by the end of it, Rachaad White found himself on a breakaway run and decided to go out of bounds. For a guy who was desperate to get offers, passing up on a touchdown was something that most guys would not do. He wanted his teammate to get involved in the action, and the very next play, his teammate would end up getting a score, and this meant everything to both the coaching staff and Rachaad. White had over 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns, while his teammate who scored that touchdown only had 1. This showed the kind of character he had and that he was a good running back. Because of that, schools such as Indiana, Tennessee, and UCLA all wanted his talents. He decided he would commit to UCLA, but then it looked like the Bruins didn't really want him anymore, and he decided to back out. Going across the conference to Arizona State, then co-defensive coordinator and recruiting coordinator Antonio Pierce actually went to the same college as him and had his eyes on Rachaad. They wanted him, but there was no space. Eventually, a guy by the name of AJ Carter would enter the transfer portal, and because of that, they would have room for him. They brought in 2 4-star running backs in the same class, but Rachaad was now going to be a Sun Devil. He picked them over the likes of Indiana and Tennessee. His high school coach said, quote, "For Rachaad to bet on himself and to work hard to get where he is, it's a true success story." He went from a guy who was a 0-star recruit to someone who was a 3-star recruit and can make an impact at the next level. When he came into Arizona State, the world had gone into a weird spiral, and he was very much struggling to understand the playbook. He eventually became good friends with a running back by the name of Jackson He, and he will become more important later. White went into the spring near the bottom of the depth chart, but eventually he was at the top when the season started. Arizona State had lofty expectations, but it would not go all according to plan. White would finish the year with 420 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns, and also had 151 yards receiving to go along with that. He was a dynamic player and someone who many projected to break out in 2021. How would he do? He would become a star. In 11 games, White would rush the ball 182 times for 1,006 yards and 15 total touchdowns. Not only was he a great rusher, but he also had 43 receptions for 456 yards and 1 score. This guy was absolutely electric, and it was on full display in a 2-game stretch in early November. Against USC, he had over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, and on the road against Washington, he had 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. Those were the 2 matchups that really put him on the map, and because of that, he decided to declare for the 2022 NFL Draft. When it comes to comparisons, he was actually asked about this. What did he say? He said, quote, "I don't model my game after anybody really. I honestly just try to be myself. I do take pieces from other people's games though, and you can always do that in order to make your game better. Looking back, I probably looked up to Le'Veon Bell a lot, not just because of the way he runs, but the way that he lets plays develop and can catch out of the backfield." That's a pretty good comparison, but Herm Edwards actually went a step further. He was a lot like former Hall of Famer Marcus Allen. He said, quote, "Rachaad has a lot of Marcus mannerisms. His height, his length, and how he runs. There's a lot of little mannerisms that when I watch, I go, man, that's just like Marcus." So personally, I didn't watch a lot of Arizona State football this year, just because they didn't really play in that many primetime games, and I have so many games to watch. But as I've read through his story and watched his highlights, I really like Rachaad White moving forward to the 2022 NFL Draft, and combining that with his story makes him a player and a prospect I want to root for. I definitely see him as a day 2 or day 3 selection right now, but after he performed pretty well at the Senior Bowl, maybe with a good combine performance, he can move himself up the ladder. For now, I just want to say congratulations to Rachaad, as he has an extremely inspiring story, was a great player in his 2-year career at Arizona State, and is someone I'm definitely going to keep my eye on. What do you guys think though? If you're an Arizona State fan, what do you think of Rachaad White moving forward? For all you draft people out there, where do you think he goes, and who's a running back I should cover in my next video? And leading into that, what player or topic should I do in my next NFL Draft video? Be sure to let me know down below, smash that like button if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all my other NFL Draft videos and whatever is on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.